Harry did visit his father for what is argued all of 45 minutes. Do you think this was a genuine dash to see his father or a publicity stunt? Because he left pretty quickly to present some other thing.
Apart from collecting 11,000 air miles, it's difficult to see, Nana, what was achieved by this flight over the pole to see his father that couldn't have been achieved by a 45-minute video call such as the one I'm having with you now. It is the custom in the royal family for male members to greet each other with a kiss on the cheek. Now, that could not possibly have happened because the king is undergoing treatment for cancer. And as many people watching this program will know, that infection has to be avoided during treatment of cancer. So there was no question of the king embracing his son, his prodigal son, when he returned to Clarence House, the official residence of the king in London, because Harry had been for 11 hours in a pressurized tube at 37,000 feet over the North Pole, flying here. So you say, was it for publicity purposes? I'm not sure about that. The prince sat very morosely, unsmiling in the back of a police Range Rover going to and fro on his flights. So one wonders why it happened. One would like to think it was moved by compassion because, this is not a major crisis, Nana, but it is a crisis. The fact is the king completed a very successful first complete year on the throne when he went to Germany, he went to France, he went to Kenya, and of course he had his coronation. And it went very well. And now he's stricken with cancer. We don't know exactly the circumstances of that cancer, any more details, but the Buckingham Palace has been quite candid about the situation. And that is very difficult because the king has now isolated himself to some extent at his estate at Sandringham on the North Norfolk coast. That's 108 miles northeast of London, and it's surrounded by 20,000 acres that he owns. So he can be isolated there. But he has to come to London for treatment, and he came today. And during that visit to his London residence, I'm sure he will be meeting the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. The British Prime Minister sees the monarch once every week, usually on a Tuesday evening, because under Britain's famously uncodified constitution, the monarch has the royal prerogative, and that's in three parts. The monarch has the right to be consulted, in other words, to know what's going on, and the monarch has the right to encourage, and the monarch has the right to warn. And it was said during the long reign, the record-breaking 70-year reign of Queen Elizabeth II, that she only had to say to one of her 15 prime ministers who was expounding on what he was going to do, she only had to say, do you think that's entirely wise, Prime Minister? And perhaps raise an eyebrow for that Prime Minister to go away and think, well, is my policy wise? Those audiences, because that's the official term for them, are completely private. Nobody takes notes. It's only two people there. And there are never any leaks. But every one of her prime ministers, the Queen, the late Queen's prime ministers who has commented upon it, have said that they always found those audiences very valuable, almost like a student going to a tutorial with a professor. The professor was marking their homework, so the Queen marked their homework